Now, before I call Deputy Adams, could I just remind those this is leaders' questions and just the leaders and replies from the Taoiseach is what we have here. Deputy Gerry Adams has the floor.
Taoiseach, just to be clear, I'm addressing you as Taoiseach and not as Uachtaráin Fine Gael. So, Taoiseach, the renowned Irish artist Robert Ballagh has said that the record of your government on the arts is the worst in the history of this state. And your attitude to the appointment to the board of the Irish Museum of Modern Art is a further illustration of this. A central plank of your election platform in 2011 was one of political reform. But in the past few days, you attempted a political manoeuvre straight out of Fianna Fáil's handbook of political strokes. A Hishig, Gerder Sigilga, Fiann and Fial are in failure. Vintu Ruddy the Dani, Nakro Solar, August Osculture. Classy Act a beyond. Taoiseach, you first of all denied any responsibility for the controversy surrounding John McNulty's appointment to the Board of IMMA. You said Minister Humphrey made that appointment. Then you changed your story. You said you took full responsibility. But today you failed again to tell the Dáil what you took responsibility for. And you're continuing, or maybe not, with your plan to place your man in the Seanad. So Taoiseach, to tree or cash dairera agumsa agus pawal yum fragra shimply agus fragra solar le the hull. You seem in your response earlier to be admitting that Fine Gael asked Minister Humphrey to appoint John McNulty to IMMA. So let me be very clear about this. Did you, or did anyone working for you, or anyone on behalf of the party that you're Uachtaráin off, instruct or request Minister Humphreys to appoint John McNulty to the Board of IMMA? Are you making a Jesuitical distinction between your post as Uachtaráin of Fine Gael and as Taoiseach of the state?
Come on with the outfit.
Is your claim that this was solely a matter for Minister Humphreys inaccurate? Given what you have said earlier, is it untrue? And if Mr McNulty is asking, as you say, our Oireachtas members not to vote for him, does that mean that he's withdrawing his name?
Good morning, Taoiseach.
Well, tuaithe mé freagra soileo go te hachta. Tá mé tar éis an gá freagra sin a hóisce an teachta bhátín. An teachta bhátín níos lua. I accepted responsibility. I think probably one of the first to accept responsibility for anything on this side of the House for two reasons. Firstly, I have set in place. I've set in place. Structures. My party has a structure in place for dealing with applications, validation of candidates for all elections. There's a process through our Executive Council that happens. This was set in place earlier on in the early part of the summer. And actually a subcommittee of the Executive Council made a recommendation for a number of names to be considered for the Seanad, which was their responsibility. Subsequently, Deputy McGinley announced his retirement, and I looked at the question of Donegal and the possibility of the appointment of a candidate for the Senate from there. And my rationale in that was that this was a Fine Gael seat in the Seanad, which was made vacant by the election of Senator Deirdre Clune to the European Parliament. So for that reason, that process was not followed. That process was not followed, nor was I informed of the state of play of the validation exercise. And secondly, I accepted responsibility for taking my eye off this situation when I should have been more diligent about seeing it through. And I've said that publicly already, and as a follow-through on that, without having any Jesuitical distinction between these two things, as head of government, we've now put in place the structure and the framework to deal with all appointments, non-remunerated, non-remunerated, semi-state boards and to other organisations that will be entirely free of the political assessment before appointment. This is as it should be, and is something I think that everybody can support. The effective date of implementation is the 1st of November. I'm not happy about the situation as it evolved in the Fine Gael process, nor was I informed of that situation. And for those reasons, I just feel it is beneath the standards that I've set myself. It is beneath the trust placed in us by our supporters. It is beyond the integrity of the way we fight elections. And for that reason, I felt very strongly that this seat should not be accepted in these circumstances. And John McNulty, an excellent candidate in every respect, understands that and has formally requested the Oireachtas members not to vote for him, therefore.
Deputy
Adams. Deputy Adams. Sorry, Deputy Adams. The candidate, there's a legal position here. There is a legal position here that a candidate in these circumstances cannot actually withdraw, because, as you know, the ballot papers are printed and the names are on them. So it is not possible for Mr McNulty to withdraw his name. He therefore requests formally Oireachtas members that he should not be voted for.
Thank you, Deputy Adams. Order, please. No middle one.
This is the candidate who is not a candidate. And you said earlier that you are the first to accept responsibility for anything on that side of the House. And I have to say, you made our friends in Fianna Fáil blush with that answer, Taoiseach. I mean, let's get real about all of this. There's deep disillusionment among the general public about the jobs for the Fine Gael boys. But there's even, and I note the absence of Labour ministers here today, the failure of Labour to face down such blatant cronyism at the heart of the government, because this is an abuse, or a possible abuse, of the public appointments process. The appointment to IMMA, all, as you have acknowledged, to secure a Seanad seat. And it's an extremely serious matter, especially when it involves the Taoiseach, never mind your other persona of the Uachtaráin of Fine Gael. So would you explain, Taoiseach, what public interest was served by John McNulty's appointment to the Board of IMMA? How were the arts advanced by this appointment? Where is the accountability, the transparency, the openness in that appointment? And Taoiseach, did Minister Kofi follow your example by appointing a former Fine Gael councillor to the Board of Irish Water? And was this at your request, and either of your two capacities? And again, in the absence of a Labour minister, did the Labour Party follow suit by asking Minister Paschal Donoghue to appoint a former Labour Party councillor to the board of the Irish Aviation Authority?
Thank you, Deputy.
And Taoiseach, given what you have just said, and in terms of your stated wish to restore credibility which is undermined by you, would you not be better cancelling this election and rerunning the election process?
Come out. Taoiseach.
The election process is underway and cannot be stopped. It goes through to its conclusion. The candidates who are named on the ballot paper cannot withdraw their names. So, for that reason, given what I've said to you, Mr McNulty has formally requested that people should not vote for him. When I speak of acceptance of responsibility, I do so from this chair, Deputy Adams. I won't go into the history of a number of incidents that applied here. The appointment of Mr McNulty in his own right to the Board of IMMA brought with it a business acumen, a regionalisation and a different voice. There was a second appointment made to IMMA on the same day for those reasons. So it's not, you can't close down the election process, you can't withdraw your name, but as I've said, what government have done collectively, Fine Gael and Labour and government, have now set in place the structure by which all appointments for public, non-remunerated and semi-state and special boards will be all assessed externally. Assessments made on the appropriate skill levels that are required. Every minister will have to set out, in respect of the boards under their responsibility, what are the requirements and the credentials that people being appointed to these boards need, and that where they're non-remunerated, they all apply under the stateboard.ie, every department on that. For instance, in the case of New Era, where there are a number of specialist boards, with, for instance, Ervia to be appointed, Irish Water and Bord Gáis, it will be a matter for consultation with New Era as to the specialist qualifications that they need before applicants are invited and before they're determined for appointment by the Minister of the day. And they will be ring-fenced for those companies. The same will apply in the case of other semi-states. And it may well be that some persons may have to be asked specifically because of their particular credentials.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
So it's not true to say, and if I spoke to Mr. McNulty, I deemed him to be a person of first-class credentials, of good character, who would make an excellent representative. Because of the way this has drifted, and because I accept that my own standards were let slip, that my own sense of integrity and trust given to me here did not measure up in this case, and that this seat should not be accepted in these circumstances.
Now for the technical group, Deputy